So our licensing model for the cloud, how is it put together? I want you to go ahead and write down, give me some of the things that describe our cloud licensing model. What are some of the things we use to describe it? So go ahead and get out a pen and paper and write down some of the items you think are important, like the device type, or how does it end? How do we renew? Those are the things I want you to write down. Okay? So go ahead and take some time here, write it all down, and we will talk about them one by one. All right, hopefully you had some time to write down some of the issues with cloud subscription licensing, that particular model, and we can go ahead and start here. First up is the device types. Our cloud subscription or licensing model is specific by device, right? So if we have a Meraki access point, an MR series, then we have to license for an MR series. It's not a generic licensing type. Access points go to access points, and so on and so forth. What else do we have within our cloud subscription licensing model? We have organization wide licensing. This means that our organization is applied as a whole. So you can take that Mariki and move it from site to site. That's not an issue. The number of devices in an organization cannot exceed the license limiting. So if we had a licensing audit from Cisco that came in, looked at our environment, and they looked at all the items in our environment, we cannot have more pieces of equipment in this organization than we're licensed for. Pretty pretty easy uh, solution there, right? You're not allowed to have more than you paid for. There is a 30-day grace period in which you have to become pull back into compliance in that case. So hopefully you remembered some of that information from our lesson. Next up is co-termination. End dates are averaged to have a common end date. Now, what do I mean by that? This means if I purchase an item that has, oh, I don't know, a year left, and I purchase another item that only has six, and I'm, let's take that again. Let's say I purchase a new item with a year left on licensing. It's year to year licensing. And I'm adding that to my organization that has a particular piece of an equipment, another AP MR34, same exact piece of equipment with 6 months of licensing left. What happens is we're going to have a co-termination date. Both those licenses are going to average out now to 9 months, the average of both those licenses. It's very important to know that because that's how you can become uh, out of compliance if you're not aware. You're buying several new pieces of equipment and you're not sure how the licensing ends up. Remember, it averages out. Next up, renewal. Renewal. Licenses to cover the number of device types. So I need a renewal when I have run out of licenses. So let's take for example, if I had 5 APs, we're to have 2 AP licenses that applied for renewal. We would really only have 2 licensed APs. It would be 3 APs over the limit in that case. And therefore, we would be out of compliance, right? So I have 5 licenses, 5 APs. All of them expire. I just buy 2 APs, 2 renewals at that point. I'm not going to get co-termination at that point because those other licenses have already expired. I would need to renew them all. So I would only be able to activate 2 devices at that time. All right. Can we transfer our cloud subscription licenses? The answer to that is absolutely not. We're not allowed to do that. So hopefully you got all these right. You had some of these ideas down. If not, please go back and review the meat and potatoes of that licensing model. And I would like you to be able to kind of get the general idea for all the licensing models listed in that lesson.